I asked my Telegram community to provide me with altcoins to analyze for this YouTube channel. This is something that I may do periodically. Maybe I'll do it a little bit more often, but they gave me 7 altcoins that I'm going to review tonight. And none of this is financial advice. And I don't, and for the record, I don't own any of these altcoins. So I'm going to be able to give you a relatively unbiased analysis of them. This is crypto simulation theory. I am the Gaussian snake. And let's go ahead and get started with the altcoin analysis. Our first altcoin is base PEPE. This is a derivative of PEPE from the Matt Fury Boys Club. It is a beta play on ETH base PEPE. Well, I should say ETH PEPE. This is what the chart looks like. And if we zoom out a little bit, wow, what a performer this has been. This is about as perfect of a chart as you can have in the crypto space. So props to those of you who have held base PEPE. I'm sure you've done really, really well for yourself. This chart just looks really, really good. So the question is, like, we're sort of at a crossroads right now where we've had a pullback. Should we potentially consider an entry into, sorry, we don't have enough for 100 weeks of data. Let's put on a few moving averages. I'm going to throw a few of these on, kind of see where we're at. Okay, so we don't have enough price history to go further back than the 50-week, but in purple I have the 10, the yellow is the 20, green is the 40, and the blue is the 50. You see the moving averages have turned down, I think in a very similar way to what's happened here, a little more sharp of a slope, indicating that we've had a little bit more selling pressure here than we did here, although this was a much longer drawn out downtrend, if you want to call it that. Um, Kind of had a nice little bunny hill right here. And it seems like there's some support being found around this level. Okay. So this may be a good entry point. Now, I'm not going to make that recommendation just yet. We want to look at some more indicators before we make that conclusion. But I think we can at least see that there's some kind of bottoming that might be taking place. The alligator came down a little bit more harshly, but it could just, of course, come right back up. So we don't want to make too much of an assumption off of that. Weighted logarithmic Bollinger Bands. We have been kind of chopping around in the middle for a little while. But it looks like it wants to kind of head back up again. I don't know if that's going to be to a higher low. I mean, we're already potentially been in a higher low, to a higher high, or what. But so far things don't look too bad on this cooldown. So let's take a look under the hood and see if it can tell us anything more um, about where we're at. The stochastic oscillator would be a good place to start. Look at that. We're right at the bottom. This is a good accumulation range usually. As you can see, and going back, anytime base PEPE has hit the bottom of the range on the stochastic oscillator, it's come back up again. So that is definitely a point for a bullish continuation coming. And let's take a look at, I think if we look at the Trix bubble and let's also look at the uh, Wyckoff volume color. Okay. So we can see that the Trix bubble did get below the 0 line, but look what's happening on the 5-day SMA. It's starting to curl back up again. And look at the volume momentum. Sellers are starting to get exhausted. What a strong chart. I mean, you don't see too many charts like this. And again, I don't own any of the projects I'm going over tonight, nor have I ever owned, I think, any of these that I'm going over. Maybe one or two of them I might have owned in the past, but at least this one I haven't owned. And shame on me. Look at that. Wow. This is a really nice oscillation that you have going on here for base PEPE. Let's see if there's anything else that we could look at. What about the risk right now, overall risk on the beam? Base PEPE is showing a cool down from some of these higher levels. Just to review, my DCA range is generally between 0 and 0.2. We are in that range right now. That's the exact range where we found another way that base PEPE had a nice bounce before. I will say that, I do think another bounce is likely coming for this asset based on what I'm seeing across all kinds of technicals, but I'm not sure what that's going to look like, right? So like I can tell that it's got that logarithmic growth, which is a very healthy growth, but eventually these things do tend to roll over. That's just what typically happens with a logarithmic chart like this is you get to a point where that price momentum can no longer be sustained and it kind of like tops out somewhere. I don't think we're there yet, but I think that's coming relatively soon if I had to just guess. Reverse Chande momentum oscillator, again, showing us at levels where we bounced before, but you can kind of, sorry, I need to turn the drawing off. You can kind of see, that this potentially is coming to a bottom again. And, it got pretty high. We got up to like 89 level. It got up here at the beginning to 80 level. It put in some lower highs. So I think the ROI momentum is starting to wear down with each successive pump, but that is normal behavior. There's nothing abnormal about it. I think in the long haul, when we get to another Matt Fury meme coin season, ETH starts to wake up. I think base Pepe probably has a very bright future ahead of it. I can't really tell you exactly what market cap it can get to because a lot of that is dependent on ETH Pepe. But and usually, I don't think base Pepe is going to flip ETH Pepe. That's a really hard thing to do considering there's a drastic difference in market caps. But base Pepe is right behind ETH Pepe. I mean, I think it's going to be strong, and I think it could do probably maybe another 10, 20x from here. I mean, maybe even a 30x. It just depends on how hard Pepe runs, right? So I think this is a derivative of Pepe. I think a lot of people who own Pepe will probably roll their money over into this one. But can you kind of see what I'm seeing? Like, these tops that are coming in are kind of lower and lower each time, and that's kind of the logarithmic regression. So if I had to make a prediction about what was going to happen next, this is sort of what I think is going to happen. And I can't really tell you if it's going to put in a higher high, but I think it will. I think base Pepe is likely to put in another higher high, and then I think it might break structure and start to head down for a little bit. And maybe at that point it will find support. If I had to guess, again, I'm just taking a stab at this. Let's maybe put the rectangle on for this. If I had to guess where that support will be, probably in here. Okay. I think that base Pepe is likely to put in another top that might be seen as a double top relative to this one, more or less. And then I think it's probably going to find a little bit of a cool off period and maybe get down to some of these levels. So I think personally, yes, I do recommend base Pepe. Yes, I think a swing trade on it could make a lot of sense. Again, not financial advice, just my thoughts. But I probably would be careful about holding onto this one for too long, especially let's say we get another impulsive leg up. You know, is it likely it's just going to keep going and going when it's shaped like this logarithmic, regression? I don't think so. I think we're going to have to see this cool off a little bit at some point, kind of like what it did here. So um, those are just my thoughts. I can't predict the future, but I would say it's very likely that base Pepe is going to head up in the maybe within the next week or two. It depends, of course, on how things go after the election and the FOMC meeting this week. But the chart makes it look like base Pepe is ready to roll again and go up. So yes, this one I would recommend an entry into if not financial advice, but based on the technicals, I could recommend a swing trade probably on this one. Um, and I also think that this asset has a very bright future because of the community and the fundamentals around the fair tokenomics and token distribution. So I like the asset. The next asset I was asked to look at is Landwolf on Ethereum. So that's what we're looking at here. I turn on a moving average ribbon. Again, these are whole moving averages, not simple moving averages. I prefer the less lagging ones. So kind of looking at what's going on with Landwolf right now. Chart doesn't really look that great. So at least just at first glance here, it's not quite a head and shoulders pattern. Okay. You can make an argument for it. It's certainly a weak argument, but if you kind of like look at these attempts to take out or to get back up to the previous high, you can see, I'm trying to look for my drawing tool right here. You see this high, which is a higher high, and now a lower high. It's not the best looking pattern, right? And in my intuition, this just feels like it's heading down. You can see the 100-week whole moving average starting to roll over, the 50, the 40 starting to roll over, the 20 starting to roll over, the 10 starting to roll over, and putting in these like lower highs. So first look at the chart honestly doesn't look great. Um, right now, at least for accumulation, yeah. I mean, I'm not really liking what I'm seeing there. So let's look at a few other things because my mind can change. Remember, I'll make an assessment at the very end based on what I see. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So let's remove the drawings, remove the indicators, gets rid of all these things. Um, let's see what else is going on here. Let's look at a Gunnar EMA. Bearish cross. There you go. Just had a bearish cross as of today on the Gunnar EMA. And price certainly isn't able to get back up to it. So what was formerly a bull market support band, unfortunately for the first time in a very long time, really since July, we now have a bear market resistance band. Now, I don't know how long this will last for. That's what we'll get under the hood indicators, but that's not a great sign either. Okay. Let's look at ADX and DI. Okay. So we have a series of weaker and weaker bullish impulse waves. It looks like the bearish wave is about to take over. Not great, right? We haven't had that happen in a while since the summer. So trend strength not looking great, bull strength not looking great. So it's another point for the bears. Let's see, the RCMO not looking good. So daily RCMO has been unable to put in a change in trend. It looks to me like, I mean, best case scenarios, we got a double bottom here, but this looks like it's ready to probably roll over again and put in a lower low. Yeah. So can we find anything bullish about this? I mean, it's been pretty hard so far. Um, I mean, like Land Wolf is on Ethereum directly, and Ethereum's not doing great right now, so it's not surprising to see this oscillator volume profile. You can look at that. No, usually, yeah. I mean, like so, Land Wolf. This is alternating between overbought and oversold. Land Wolf is spending quite a bit of time at the oversold levels. It's not quite there yet. Last time it tapped the oversold line was in July, and that occurred right before a rally. We are getting down to some pretty low levels here, but I think it could roll over some more. So, yeah, Land Wolf is looking kind of bearish. Now, the question is, if it is indeed bearish, where would we look to maybe accumulate some? Okay, because I think Land Wolf has a very strong narrative being in the Matt Fury verse. And, I think it makes sense to kind of ask that question of, well, where should we look? So if we drop fibs from the most recent all-time high and then exhaust the fibs at the most recent local bottom, okay, and I have a lot of fibs, but we're mainly going to look at these. You can see that Land Wolf has been trying to get above the 786 and has just failed at it. It did hold the 0.5 pretty well, so I would at least expect to trip back down to the 0.5. Now, I think we should throw on some VRVP as well to see kind of, I don't know if we should throw it on from the very beginning. Probably given how new, this asset's fairly new, it would make sense to throw on some VRVP maybe from here, just to kind of get an idea of where a lot of the holding is. Okay, I don't have it open right now, so let's go pull it up. Excuse me. So this is where we're at with the VRVP. We are actually at a very strong level of support. If we lose this level, which looks likely, then we're going to probably spend some time down here. And there's really not much support at the 0.5 fib. So I think we could even get down to the 382. If I had to guess where we're likely to find some meaningful support, I'd say somewhere between the 382 and the 0.5 is quite likely. I think this is likely to roll over some more. And maybe in here, you'll have a good accumulation range. So that'd be sort of my projection with that one. We go to the beam to see sort of what the risk is right now on Wolf. it looks like it does need to cool off a little bit. See, Wolf, unlike base Pepe, did hit some major overvaluation levels. Whenever you see the red bar on here, that means it's got above 0.65 risk. And that happened in the summer. Ever since then, it's been kind of flip-flopping around. I see this as more of like, um, honestly, probably this pattern here is likely to break down, right? And take us into lower risk levels and potentially even undervaluation again. So where do I stand with Land Wolf? Let me just turn off this to not distract you so much. Can keep the fibs on. I think I would personally pass on this one right now and in favor of something with a more bullish setup. So I think Land Wolf, being part of the Matt Fury official narrative, has a very bright future ahead of it and can go on to do many multiples of market cap from where it's at right now. I just don't feel like this is the best time to accumulate it. I think you'll probably have better opportunities waiting on it. Again, not financial advice, but just my observations. The next altcoin I was asked about is called MIKO, or Meme Coin Girl, on Ethereum. And this is a challenging one because it has almost no history. So I'm on the 4-hour chart because if I go to the daily chart, I simply don't have enough data to make any kind of conclusions. So on the 4-hour chart, looks like this debuted on October 21st, had an explosive rise. This is a really good pick. So great job. And it kind of came back into its Gaussian channel, although not in a really authoritative way, which is good. And channel flip red. This honestly just looks like a consolidation phase. I mean, this one is got some firepower to it, right? So if we look at the moving averages, we have to keep in mind these are 4-hour moving averages. So we multiply everything by 4. 40-hour moving average, it looks like there's some support developing there. I'm going to want to look under the hood to just verify that. We can see that we did get the death cross of the 20 with the 40 and the 50, and it looks like we're about to get a death cross of the 40 with the 50. So, I think we could form some kind of bottoming range in here. That's sort of what my intuition is telling me, is that this one is likely to probably move higher. Look at, we're putting in a higher low relative to here. So that is a good thing. Impressive, very impressive on the 4 hours. So I like what I am seeing so far. Let's see if we can turn on the Gunnar EMA. This is a 4-hour one, so take this with a grain of salt. So we had a bearish cross on the Gunnar EMA, and we had a bear market resistance band for quite a while. It looks like it tried to put a bullish cross in, and that failed. So we still have the bear market resistance band here, but that could easily change. Again, it's a 4-hour chart, so these things change quickly. Let's go to the stochastic oscillator. I'm guessing it's close to the bottom. I haven't looked at it, but I'm just taking a guess. Yep, I can just tell. It's close to the bottom. That's a good sign. So what has happened with MIKO, every time we've hit this bottom, we've gone back up. You can spend some time down here. It can happen. But I think this thing's priming for another leg up. What else would we want to look at here with this one? I already know what the ADX and DI is going to look like based on the chart. It's going to be kind of in a consolidation, so there's nothing really that interesting there. Let's see if there's anything else. On a 4-hour chart, a lot of these just move so quickly. The tricks, let's look at tricks. Tricks bubble. Look at that, beautiful. Just, you saw this with base Pepe on a higher time frame. We're seeing it with MIKO on a lower, these are lower time frames. This is like a 20-hour moving average, just kind of rotating around. Yeah, I think this one's priming for another leg up. What about risk? Wow, look at that. On a 4-hour time frame. Let's see if we can get daily risk. Not really a fan of 4-hour risk. I mean, it looks good. There's so much upside potential with this one, right? Like, we've been down here in the lower range for a while. I feel like we're kind of coming out of it. And I think this one is likely to get another leg up. And it could be another really big leg up too, once this consolidation pattern is complete. Yeah, I mean, in terms of, do we want to draw fibs on, maybe on a 4-hour chart, it'd be a little easier to do. It's just not a lot of data here. Well, we could try to draw some fibs. Yeah, I mean, where do we want to go from bottom to top maybe on this one? So here's your bottom, there's your top. So these fibs are in reverse. Just keep that in mind. You have to interpret them backwards. So, I mean, yeah, this asset is strong. It's holding this 236. Again, you have to think in like reverse with the fibs when the fibs are presented this way. We could also draw the fibs from swing high to swing low. That's usually makes a lot more sense and is more intuitive. It's just these are going to be really scrunched up because again, this is such a small time frame. But you can see, look at this series of higher lows. We're sweeping the lows down here. I think this is providing a lot of support. I would draw probably a nice little red zone in here. Let's go ahead and throw volume on. I'm going to throw static volume on. 4-hour volume. Look, a chart's a chart. So look at that. Contracting volume. Yeah, this looks good. This looks really good. Um, I would say that there's a pretty good chance this makes a run for it. Again, as soon as the market shows some strength, and we could be easily tapping on the 382. We could maybe even get above it. There's going to be some resistance to overcome for sure. I don't think we're going to go like past the one fib like right away or anything, but I do like this structure. I like the way it's hugging the 236 and really getting out of this red zone. So I would say for meme coin girl or MIKO as it's called, right now appears to be a good accumulation range, and I think that the chart for this one just looks really good and likely to be a success. I don't know anything about this project, so I don't know anything about the fundamentals. Never heard of it before until it was given to me in my group to look at. But I'll say this one looks like a winner, potential winner. So yeah, I like this one. Okay, this coin is called ANDYMAN. I just typed this in based off the contract address that was given to me. For a minute, I thought this was like Andy, like the Andy from the Matt Fury Boys Club, but I don't think this is. So I've never heard of ANDYMAN. I don't know what it is, but let's look at the chart. So I'm looking at it on a daily time frame, which makes the most sense given that this debuted in the summer. And it looks like right now it's in the process of putting in a bearish cross on the Lunar EMA. Of course, that happened in October and it didn't mean a thing. It got another leg up, but it seems to me like this one is also sort of entering into that logarithmic growth curve, which probably just means that a lot of new buyers aren't coming in at the moment. That's kind of my interpretation, similar to like base PEPE. Um, but let's see if I put on, yeah, I wanted to draw this for you. So, and you can see kind of it has this like shape to it, kind of developing, which is usually indicative to me at least that a slowdown is coming relatively soon. Gaussian channels earning some pretty fat downside here, which I don't like to see. We are entering into the channel, although we're not doing it with authority, which is a good thing. So we really need to get granular here and kind of say, are we starting to form a bottom or could this go lower? First thing I'm going to look at is the stochastic oscillator. We're going to go straight to that to kind of get an idea of where we're at in terms of, we are getting down towards the bottom, but honestly, this is not a convincing reversal just yet. I would want to see, some strength here. So this could go lower. Um, it could chop around here and go lower. So I'm not convinced that this is a local bottom just yet. Let's look at the Trix bubble and see if that can tell us anything. So if I put on the Trix bubble, yeah, everything's just kind of turned down. This is not really suggesting to me that a bottom is forming. It could be, but I'm not really seeing evidence for it. We are getting down to levels where a bottom formed before, but look at this, um, you have a higher high followed by a lower high. So it looks sort of like a change in trend has taken place. Not really a fan of that. What about the RCMO? Let's look at let's actually throw up the trend strength, true strength indicator. Similar one to RCMO. True strength indicator saying not strong at the moment. You've got almost like a head and shoulders here. So yeah, not sure where that line just came from. Did I just draw that now? Okay, can't seem to get rid of it. Um, Yeah, not looking great. What about the beam? Oof, this one has gotten into some like heavy overvaluation already. Yeah, that's telling me that a lot of the upside has already been achieved, probably for a while. This thing needs to cool off. So what I'm going to say personally about this asset, Andyman, that I've never heard of, is no, I don't feel like right now is a good time to accumulate. I would wait. Um, Chart definitely got off to a really good start, but I feel like it's having some trouble now and is very likely to roll over for a little while. So, and yeah, I'd keep an eye on it. And as far as like levels where you might consider, re-entering based on everything that I've seen, I would guess that this area could be a good area, right? I think price is likely to retrace into that box and probably find a bottom down there. If I just had to guess, when that will happen, who knows? But I think it's likely to happen. I think this Gaussian channel is likely to go red, um, and I think downside momentum could pick up. That's I don't think a bounce here is very likely. So I'm gonna have to say no on Andyman for now. Wait and see. I know nothing about his tokenomics or anything like that. But nice run. I mean, if you got into this early, you've done very well. The next request was SUI or SUI, and this has been one of the top performers in the past few months. It has done much better than most of the market. This is the weekly time frame. This asset has enough history that it does make sense to look at it on a weekly time frame. It goes back to 2023. Really a nice double bottom kind of formation on a very large time frame. This is a higher low relative to this one over here. So the low from August of 24, a little bit higher than the low from October 23, and wick was bought up very quickly. We had a bullish cross occur on September 16th. The last time a bullish cross occurred before that was January 1st. So it's a fairly significant event, and it has been widening. In fact, price came to test the bull market support band and actually held. Although we are seeing a little bit of a red week this week, you know, it's not like dramatic or anything. So that's a good sign. I do like what I'm seeing there. Let's see what else we could look at. I noticed with the alligator, I did briefly check this out. So the alligator has the what you want to see usually, right? So you have the mouth above the tongue above um, the jaw, right? So this is bullish, but they're all kind of turning down right now. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. When your alligator starts to turn down, it could mean that a change in trend is coming. What about the Bollinger Bands? We did hit the top of the Bollinger Band. We grazed it just like we did over here. And last time that we grazed it, we entered into a downtrend. So that's something to keep an eye out for, kind of seeing how this retraces. What I'm going to do. I'm going to want to look at the stochastic oscillator next. Let's go ahead and look at that. Kind of see how we're doing there. So we have been at some of the upper levels for the stochastic oscillator. Now, keep in mind, I can spend a lot of time up here, but we did come below the 80 level. So SWE seems to be kind of cooling off a bit, and this cool off could materialize into something bigger. If we put on the 50, doesn't have a 200 week, doesn't have a 100 week. Let's see, would have definitely a 20. It's below its 20 week. It's above its 50 week. It is below its 10 week, and its 10 week just death crossed the 20 week. So that's something to pay attention to. 40 week. Notice all these are turning down. They're all concave down. So that is a sign of potential weakness creeping into SWE. Just because something's a strong narrative right now doesn't mean it will always be, right? I mean, again, I think this. Sorry, I'm on the crypto. I can't pull up volume data on the crypto chart. ADX and DI. Let's pull that up. So yeah, the trend strength is not as strong as it used to be. It's the trend strength is around 24, which is still a strong trend. And we just put in a lower high on the green DI. So we could definitely see some kind of, I think, retrace here with the price coming down to some kind of support level. So I think we should go. Let's go look at the beam real quick, and then let's pull up some fibs on this one and see where things might land. Yeah, so you can see that, we've never really been like extremely overvalued. That's a good thing, meaning Squeeze still has a lot of gas left in the tank. I think ultimately this like double bottom pattern will prove to be very bullish in the future. I think Squeeze is going to have a great year next year, but I think it may have some more cool off coming. So this is outside my DCA zone. So as a general rule of thumb, I personally would not be DCAing up here. I'd probably wait to at least get down into here. Yeah, I want to pull up some fibs. Let's go ahead and do that. See what that looks like. Um, so I think what I'll do for fibs, we did breach the one fib recently, but I need some kind of point of reference. So we'll go from swing high to swing low and just say hey, we got above the one fib. So yeah, we put in a top at the one fib. I think that's probably going to hold as a top for a little while. We did wick down to the 786, but we're certainly not making a convincing bounce off the 886 at the moment. So I don't think this 886 is going to hold. Let's throw out. Oh, I don't know if BRVP is gonna. Yeah, it probably won't work on the crypto chart. Yeah, probably not. Right. Well, we can just look at horizontal levels, right? So there is a fair amount of support between zero point 0.5 and 618. I think that could be a potential pullback point for SWE. I don't know if it has to get down that low, but I would probably start looking around the 618. I think the 618 could also provide support, especially if this sort of like ladders its way down very slowly or something like that. Um, so I would, kind of look to see what happens. Um, you could argue that maybe a cup and handle formation is in play. The indicators don't really suggest that is likely. It shows me downside is probably more likely than upside with this one. We'll take a look just to be sure. I mean, I think the 618 could be a good stopping point if it does go down. Let's try this one here. Yeah, see the reverse Chande seems to be kind of pulling back towards the signal line. I think the signal line is likely to flip red again. So yeah, I think a downtrend is the most likely outcome. So I would say this: look, Squeeze run really hard. Um, I think if you have a long enough time frame, buying at these levels probably could work out really well for you. But I think that you'll have a better opportunity for entry lower, somewhere between I'd say like maybe $1.20 and like $1.35. I think you have a chance of getting sweet at those levels. Um, and that's just my opinion. I think this is more likely to continue to roll over than to go back up. So that's what I'm going to say. Very strong asset, huge fan of Sui, but I don't. I think that it's kind of running out of steam at the moment. Okay, blast from the past, but not really. This is different. Luna Virtual Protocol. This is not to be confused with the old Luna that we know, rug to zero. This is a different kind of Luna altogether. So this was another project that was requested. I know nothing about it. Okay, let's look at the chart. What a crazy move that this had. This is a 4-hour chart because this crypto is not old at all. It's not even a month old. It's just a few weeks old, so it makes no sense to look at it on a higher time frame. Slap on a 4-hour Gunnery MA. We are currently in a bearish cross, but it looks like we may be coming out of that. So something to pay attention to there. Let's see how we got above the bear market resistance band. Again, on a 4-hour, it's nothing super impressive, but it's something to note. We are getting above the 200-hour moving average. Let's take a look at the 80-hour. 80-hour did death cross the 200-hour, but it looks like it's kind of rounding out. So I would expect that the 10 is already rounded out, which it has. Yep, look at that, golden cross incoming. And the 40 looking like it's acting as resistance at the moment, but I like the way this is bundling. It's looking like it's, gearing up for something. So that is a good thing. All right, can we get a 4-hour Gaussian channel? Yes, we can. We are bouncing off the lower boundary of the Gaussian channel, and that's something that is nice to see. Can we hold this median line? That's kind of what I'm wondering. Um, Geez, I really don't know. This did technically put in a lower low compared to this low here. So even though we're showing some strength, is this just a bear market rally that's going to send us back down, or are we actually going to break through here? So we will have to get under the hood to look at that. It's too hard to tell from what we're seeing here. Volume has been it's kind of been doing a whole lot of nothing. Some buy volume has been coming in lately, so that's good to see, but nothing that impressive. Um, yeah, let's see. What do we want to look at with this one? Let's look at the KZX RSI so we can get some information about divergences a little more easily here. So we flashed overbought in big time right when this came out. And it's been kind of trending down ever since. It put in a lower low on the RSI. So, I mean, you can't really say that this has put in a change in trend yet, because what you're looking for is a break of trend. If we were to draw a trend line, kind of coming from here, I mean, again, depends on where do you want to draw this trend. You can draw it up here, or you could draw it down here. Either way, it's not a convincing break of trend yet. It could be setting up for a bullish divergence, but it just hasn't happened. Let's throw the MACD on. I'm not a huge fan of MACD. It doesn't really tell you much, but it can in context of other things. So again, a 4-hour MACD. Okay, you can see some light pinks coming in. So that is a good sign, right? So we could potentially, like I said, this could be setting up for a bullish divergence. If we look at maybe the stochastic oscillator, which is a little less reliable, I think, on these time frames. Yeah, it's come up, but is this going to just be a lower high, or are we going to break structure? It's a pretty nice bounce out, I'll admit, but I'm not convinced. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure you'll see the, um, see, yeah, this is a tough one to analyze. I'm getting some challenging ones here for sure. Um, what would I like to look at with this one? I could try the oscillator volume profile. Not much going on here. Neither overbought nor oversold right in the middle, so we're not going to be able to tell much from that. Um, on balance volume is going to be difficult on this time frame. It's just so crabby. Yeah, this is a tough one for sure. Let's go to the lower time frame moving averages. So I'm going to go to the tricks bubble. And what do we see? We see a potential bottom here. Okay, this is potentially a bottom. I'm just not convinced it has the juice to just run off to new all-time highs. Let's look at the risk on this one. Okay, so it did hit undervaluation, which is good. It never really got into the 4-hour beam. I prefer a higher time frame beam that doesn't have so much noise. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see that the beam is rounding out. We are forming some kind of bottom here. It's just a question of, is this just a lower high, or are we about to like change trend? Because like if we were to draw a horizontal line right here, let's try doing that. I meant to put the line drawing tool on, but like though I did put the tool on. We did technically have a higher low. Okay, we do have a higher low. So that's good. And yeah, the risk is coming back up, which is something you definitely want to see. Okay. So let's see what else we could look at here. Let's throw up a Gauss ribbon. Actually, I think I have that already here in the toolkit on the left. Okay, so this is a good sign. You have the red Gauss ribbon narrowing to a green one. So price action is starting to come up, which is turning this green. Again, on a 4-hour time frame, it's hard to make any conclusions. Okay, the Bollinger Bands, we're getting a chop around and we're trying to get back up above. Okay, I'll tell you what I would do with this one, honestly. I would wait for confirmation of a true breakout. I would wait to see if these levels up here, right? I'd wait to see if this high can get taken out. And I know that seems kind of like maybe not the like most greedy thing to do, but I would really want to make sure this is a double bottom and not just a lower high. So I would wait for confirmation. So I would sit on my hands right now with this one. Now you could put in a really small position and set a stop loss, maybe in this range, just in case price pulls back and looks like it's about to take out this low. So I would say my conclusion on this is I'm undecided, waiting for confirmation to really put some money in. And at most, I'll put in a small position, like a starter position, and set a very tight stop loss. That's what I would do with this one. Okay, this is Brett on Wrapped ETH, not to be confused with Brett on Base. And with this one, what I'm seeing is potentially an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is a good thing, right? So this could be the head right here. And where do we want to put the shoulder? We want to put it here or here? Probably here. Maybe the shoulder. That looks like potentially another shoulder right over here. So that's quite bullish. Inverse head and shoulders. We've got a green Gaussian channel. Now this channel does appear to potentially be kind of flattening out, and price action does seem to be challenging the median line. So I definitely want to see what would happen here. But overall, this chart looks really good. It's had some time to cool off. It successfully held the lows. I'm back here in late summer. And so like this would be an area of horizontal support that has now formed. Is it possible that it comes in and tests the bottom part of the Gaussian channel? Sure, that could happen. Could it flip it red again for a short time? Sure. But I do like the way that this setup looks at the moment. It does look pretty good. So let's go ahead and clear out the drawings and maybe clear out the Gaussian channel. Think about what we want to look at next. How about the alligator? Alligator is sleeping. Okay, so this is giving you information that you didn't really have before. Alligator was awake and now the alligator is sleeping. So that's really indicating consolidation at these levels, not necessarily pointing to an incoming downtrend. It could, but it's this alligator is sleeping. Nothing that exciting is going on. I'll bet you the ADX and DI is really flat right now because of that. Yeah, you can see the ADX and DI isn't really doing anything that impressive. It's just kind of been jumping around. Um, I mean, it is at a trend strength of 37, which is, relatively strong, but it's a lower high compared to this one here. Just kind of choppy behavior, but more bullish than bearish. So I like what I'm seeing there overall. In terms of moving averages, let's throw on a moving average ribbon. Again, this is on the daily time frame. Whoa, that 100 is quite dramatic. There's a 10, that's a 40. So we should have most of them on. Let's go ahead and just zoom in, see what's happening here. Well, what's happening, and this seems to be the case with a lot of these charts, is 10 has just been kind of heading straight down. We had multiple death crosses, right? We had the 10 death cross, we had the 40 and 50 death cross, 20 death cross, and everything's rolling over. So that's not a really good look. Okay, so I'll be honest with you, getting rejected here at the 100 week, not great. And kind of riding this 10-week down. We did get it, but we have gotten above it. That doesn't mean anything. It's nothing to get excited about. So, sorry, 10-day, not weeks. So this moving average ribbon doesn't look great at the moment. Even though some of the chart structure looks good, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. We have to kind of look at a bunch of indicators to get a clear picture. Let's take a look at the Bollinger Band. We are getting into the lower part of the Bollinger Band, so we'd want to see a bounce here if it's going to happen. Otherwise, we run the risk of kind of, having a little bit of a bear trend. Gunnar EMA had a bearish cross, so that's not a good thing either. So bearish cross, bear market resistance band, inverse head and shoulders pattern might not be playing out here. Let's see if we have room to move down. Let's look at the Snavel RSI and see what it's saying. We sure do have room to move down. We haven't hit any of these lower levels in a while. It's been a long while, right? Hasn't happened since August. So I think, this trend is bearish and further downside is probably likely, I would say, based on what I'm seeing there. So let's pull up some fibs We have a pretty clear swing high to swing low structure. I'm going to ignore this wick and just focus on this one over here. So that's a pretty sharp wick, and who knows if that's even accurate. I don't know much about this particular. Which one do we want to use for the bottom? I'll use this one. See, I don't know a lot about Brett on ETH. Actually, know more about base. Yeah, base Brett, but it is a Matt Fury character, and I'm not sure which smart contract came first because I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about Brett, but I like this overall structure. Like overall, this looks really good. We took a trip down below the 236, and we blasted through it. We started, consolidating, which arguably we're still doing here in this range. I'm not convinced that even if we do bounce here I think it might just roll over. To be quite honest with you, I don't think we're going to get above the 618. But I think the 382, should we come down into this region, the 382 to the zero point 0.5, that could hold pretty well. Let's pull up a VRVP and let's pull it up on all the data, maybe except that opening candle, which is mostly MEV bots anyways. Look at a VRVP. So we are pretty much at levels of maximum support right now. And should we lose this, this 236 could hold pretty well. Now, I don't know that we necessarily need to come down and test 382, but I think we could have to get below the zero point 0.5 again. Like I said, I'm not sure we have to get all the way down here. There's not a lot of volume here between, like, there's a gap. I mean, there's a gap between the 236 and the zero point 0.5. So, it's possible we could come all the way back down. That is a possibility to test those areas. If we just VRVP it from the high, that should change the data a little bit. Doesn't really change it much. So yeah, most of the support is where we're at now. We get below this, or we might have to spend some time building out support in these levels. What's the volume look like? So volume has been contracting, as you can see down here. Let's pull up volume momentum. See, every chart is different. You can't treat any two charts the same way. You're just looking for clues. I mean, that's all you can really do. So I do like that the sell volume has been decreasing with time. Look at that, sell volume momentum has really been kind of trending down instead of up. So that is a good thing. What if we looked at, I don't think we looked at the tricks bubble with this one yet. Let's look at that now too. I'm also going to pull the stochastic oscillator. I just think more downside is likely here. I mean, look at how this has been kind of going down. Not a very strong, convincing pattern. Stochastic oscillator. It's at the low level, so that's good, but it looks like it wants to chop around here a little longer. So, yeah, I mean, it looks to me like this structure is probably going to break to the downside, but maybe it doesn't break dramatically. We might be able to kind of hug this and come back up. I'm not sure about that. As far as the beam goes, we've been flip-flopping between, the DCA zone and undervalued. We got out of the extreme undervalued. This asset got a little overheated back in June, but it's had quite a bit of consolidation, so that's good. Okay. Yeah. This is another one that's kind of hard to read at the moment. What I will say about it is this. I think more downside is likely. Chart structure right now is not convincing me that we found some kind of support. I could see a nice support zone for price action, just looking kind of at what I'm seeing here. I had it there in my head for a minute. I think we're near it. I think like in this region could be a nice support zone. Okay, I think we're kind of getting into it, and I think we will go into it. So what I would say with this one is I would hold off on it right now for this, Brett, the ETH-based Brett, and just keep an eye on it. And I think if it gets into these, like into this zone here, that could be a good accumulation range to maybe start picking some up. And I think it's likely to happen and happen soon. So that's sort of my prognosis with Brett on ETH. So yeah, that's 7 altcoins, and it takes a long time to analyze these. Each one I have to approach differently. Some of these I know something about, most of them I don't know hardly anything about. So I'm just looking at it based off of the chart and trying to identify support and resistance levels. I'm trying to look at volume and see what's going on there. We have to keep in mind the broader market is very risk off at the moment heading into the election, and which is just a few days away. So it doesn't mean, in my mind, you should stay out of the altcoin market. But I would just be careful, about what we're putting our money into, because as you can see, some charts have better setups than others, and you want to go with ones that look like they're going to be market leaders, not ones that look like they're going to be absolutely decimated. Um, if let's say Bitcoin were to drop by like $10,000 or something between now and the end of the week, I mean, I don't think it's going to do anything that crazy, but it could. It could, right? I've kind of thought 60,000 would be kind of the lowest it might go, maybe 58K, in a sort of like, market rug, scare off, sell off. It could happen, right? And I would want to be holding more, also have a stronger positioning than ones that don't. So keep in mind that this is just my opinion. I would encourage you to get several opinions and do your own analysis, and as I say, do your own research to kind of decide for yourself which altcoins make the most sense for you to hold in your portfolio. I can't tell you what to hold. And I'm not clairvoyant. So just because I see certain things in the chart doesn't mean that they're right. It could be wrong. But I did my best on these 7 projects. Again, this was done for my Telegram channel. So if you want to be able to do things like this, like request projects for me to look at, join my Telegram group. Just click on the link in the video description. It's really simple. It's free. We here at Crypto Simulation Theory believe that your money should be spent in the market and not on a subscription to my channel. So I like to offer you as much value as possible. And I just upgraded my Telegram today. I paid for the professional version of the Coin Trends bot, which allows you to do AI analyses of your altcoins in my channel. You can do it. We have the bot in there, and then you can look at all kinds of things. Like, I'd encourage you to play around with that. I got a year subscription to it for you. So be sure to do that. Also, if you enjoyed this content, you enjoyed this overview video, and you made it all the way to here, you might as well like, comment, and subscribe. Comment what's your favorite altcoin out of the 7 that I analyzed. What do you think of these? Do you think my analyses looked reasonable, or do you think that I'm way off base? So let me know down below in the comments what you think. Be sure to also hit the notification bell to be notified of future video releases like this one. So this is the Gaussian snake signing off for Crypto Simulation Theory. I'll see you next time in the simulation. Bye bye.